ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇੱਕ ਉਦਤੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵਾ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਗੁਰ ਅੰਗਦ ਪੇਵਾ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਗੁਰ ਅਮਰ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਕਰਤਾ ਰਾਮਦਾਸ ਗੁਰਬਾਰੇ। ਪੁਰਖ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਰਜਨ ਸੁਖਦਾਨੀ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਹਰ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਗੁਣ ਖਾਨੀ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਹੈ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਹਰਿ ਰਾਏ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਹਰਿ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਆਏ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਰਾਏ ਸਹਿਬਾਂ ਗੁਰ ਦਸਮੇ ਸਹਾय ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਗੁਰ ਗਿਆਨਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਬੰਦਨ ਭਗਵਾਨਾ। ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਕਲਯੁਗ ਪਇਓ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਰੂਪ ਮਹਾਨ ਦਸ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਇਹੋ ਰੂਪ ਹੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਜੀ ਜਾਨ। ਪੂਰਨ ਦੇਖਿਓ ਆਤਮਾ ਦਵੈਤ ਸਰਬ ਨਿਵਾਰ ਪੈ ਸੰਤ ਮਨ ਸੰਤੇ ਤਨ ਪਦ ਨਮੋ ਮਾਰ। ਮੂਹ ਉਛਲੇ ਸ਼ਾਸਤਰ ਖਟ ਪੈਂਗਰਨ ਛੜ ਜਾਏ ਅੰਦਰ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਬਦ रोसने जो काल कृपा कराए। कहा बुद्ध प्रभु तुझ हमारी बरन सकै महिमा जो तहारी हम ना सख्त कर सिर तुम्हारी आप ले हो तुम कथा सदारी। सो कहो टल गुर सेविया अहनिस सहज सभाए दर्शन परसे गुरु के जन्म मरण दुख जाए। दर्शन परसे गुरु के जन्म मरण दुख जाए। वाहिगुरु
सतनाम श्री वाहिगुरु साहिब जी। सुनिए सिद्ध पीर सुर नाथ सुनिए तरत तवल आकाश सुनिए दीप लो पाताल सुनिए पोहे न सकै काल नानक भगता सदा विगास सुनिए दुख पाप का नाश।
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। गुरु रूप साध संगत जी फतेह गुला वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। Today we're continuing on with the Katha of the Sri Japji Sahib. We have now hit the 8th Pauri. 7 Pauris have now been completed, which have been written in question and answer session between Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Bhai Lehna Ji, the Sikhs, the Siddhs, the Sangat, and they've all asked questions at different times, various times, and answers have been given with regards to divine knowledge and enlightenment. That's been spoken about a number of times. Within the last Pauri and the Pauri before, Guru Nanak Dev Ji mentioned a number of times the char sadhan of Sarvan, Mannan, Nidyasan and Tattvan. Now, then within the 9 types of bhakti which are mentioned in Navakanda Vichajaniya, so within that point, the 9 different types of bhakti were mentioned. Sarvan bhakti was one of them. Sarvan bhakti is what you get from listening to discourses, from listening to Katha, from listening to Kirtan, listening to Gurbani, listening to Simran, listening to these things, what merits a person gains. And here now what's happened is the Siddhs have then gone on, they finished the questions on Brahmgyan, but now they're curious on Guru Nanak Dev's views on the different types of meditation, especially Sarvan, Manan, Das, and these 3 methods have been mentioned in the last Pauri that you can use to become one with God. So they say, so the Siddhs start off and they ask a question to Sri Guru Nanak. They say, with your grace, please tell us about the glory that is gained through listening. How great is this name of God that you can, what can you gain through the listening of it? So Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji replies,
Suniye Sidh Pir Sur Nath.
Now here there's a lot of definitions, a lot of things that are going to be stated. So I'm going to go through these quickly and I'm going to break them down again and again and again. There are multiple definitions for Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath. And they start off with, they say, look Siddhs, they say it is due to listening to the name of God that a person gains the knowledge that this person's name, that this person is a Siddh, their name is a Siddh, this person is a Pir, this person is a Devta, Sur means the deities, or this person is a Nath, this person is a leader or master. So before we go into any other definitions, spiritual definitions, we have to understand what these words are. So the first one is Siddh, and within the term, the Siddh is a Sanskrit word for the term of an enlightened being or a saint. So that is the first definition of a Siddh. And the second definition of a Siddh is a person who has occult abilities, who has powers, who can perform miracles, who is a person who has their worship performed, that is a person who's considered a Sidh. Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji met numerous Siddhs who were around the world, who were having their glory, their praise and their meditation performed at the expense of God. And that's who is mentioned here. So the next definition after that is a Sidh is the name of the individual who is the leader of the Jains, of the Jain faith. The fourth definition is the leader of the Naths. Gurmukhi was considered the leader of the Siddhs. The leader of the yogis, and the person who is at the top, that is considered a Sidh. Now, with regards to the Siddhs, there are 84 mentioned. There are obviously thousands and thousands of Siddhs, but 84 Siddhs are mentioned within Gurbani, are mentioned within all sorts of different places. The reason for this is these 84 were enlightened beings, and out of them, Gurmukhi was one of them, Sampardaic was another, Guguna, Charparthnath, Partri, people like that, they were all mentioned. So that's another definition for the Siddhs. And then you get within Ramchandra Shukla wrote a book as well, and within that he writes that there are another different 84 Siddhs as well, and their names can be found as well within other Granths. Within the Buddhists say within their religion that there were 84 Siddhs that were involved in tantric yoga, tantric Buddhism, and they are mentioned when it comes to the Siddhs as well. So far you get so many different definitions for Siddhs. Again, the 84 names can be found within Sadhguru Gurbachan Singh Ji's Tika. They can also be found within Sampardaic Singh Ji's books as well. Give Sachara Hoya Give Guru Tapal, the third book in that, and they explain all their names as well, although they take them from Sadhguru Gurbachan Singh Ji as well. They're mentioned in more other books as well, but 84 Siddhs are mentioned here for the Buddhist tantric yogis as well. So those are the definitions of Sidh. Then you get the definition of Pir. The Pir itself is a Farsi word. It's from the Farsi dictionary definition. So it comes from the west of India. It comes from Persia. And Pir means, in basic definition, somebody who's greater, somebody who's bigger than you, somebody who's older than you or wiser than you, somebody who is a religious leader, somebody who is able to give knowledge on righteousness. It's the first definition of Pir. Second definition of Pir is a individual who is from the Islamic faith and has the ability to perform miracles. That is the same as a Sidh. So here Guru Nanak Dev Ji are again taking the stance where they're not conforming to one faith or giving advice on one faith, but on on various, and to see both Hinduism and Islam as equals. So Pir and Siddhs are the same. They are individuals who can perform miraculous things, and that is the individual who is considered to be a Pir. The third definition of Pir is a guru in the Islamic tradition. So, Shams Tabriz and people like that, they were considered Pirs. The Pirs that the Bhai Faridji went to, they were considered Pirs. His Gaddi were considered Pirs after that because they gave education and religious education to people. So those are the definitions for Pir. There are three there. So Sur. Sur is straightforward. Sur comes from Sanskrit terms to define a deity. Those who live within the heavens, those are the Surs. And then Nath. Nath is a person who we call a master. First definition is a master, and then you get the master within the Siddhs. So within the Siddhs you get the masters, and there are 9 Siddhs mentioned there. As I said, we mentioned some of them earlier: Pranath, Gopinath, Gugunath, Charparthnath, Gorakhnath, Chandranath, Mangalnath, Suratnath, Chambanath. So they've been mentioned earlier, so those 9. However, with the Naths there are others as well. There are other Naths: Ardhanath, Mangalnath, Chandranath, Santokanath, Chambanath. The reason why these 9 differ is because these are considered to be divine manifestations of different deities who have come down. and there's 9 of them. And again, within the Ram Shukla we spoke about, there's 84 different Siddhs. Well, Ram Shukla has also stated that there are 9 different Siddhs as well, and he gives their names and they are completely different. Malayarajan and Jalandhar and Charapad and people like that, so they're considered within there. So those are 9 Naths. So the first definition was that it is through the name of God that you are able to recognize that somebody is a Sidh, Pir, Nath. Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath, so a deity as well. So it's through the name of God that you are able to understand that. The second definition is Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath. Through listening through the name of God, individuals can gain the occult abilities, and it's through those occult abilities that they become Siddhs, that they become Pirs, they become Naths, and they become Devta. And it's through listening to the word of God. And there's a Sakya that comes within the Bhagavad Puran, and it comes within the Katha of Sahib Katha Gurbachan Singh, as well as Mahant Kirpal Singh as well, where it states that Machandranath used to be a fish himself. In his previous life, what happened was Parvati wanted to become immortal. The only way to do that was by listening to the Amar Katha, which was going to be uttered by Shiva. Shiva decided he would allow her to listen to this in an area by the beach. So he set up there, and he uttered the Amarnath. Unfortunately, whatever the game was that God was playing, Parvati used to fall asleep. But upon that moment, a fish remained completely still within the waters, listening attentively to the words of Shiva. And it was due to this that Shiva then, for according to the Purans, it says that Shiva, one of his ejaculates fell into the water. This fish ate the ejaculate, and he became Machandranath in his next life, and that's how he was born. And he became great from listening to the name of God. And like I said, his name is mentioned within all of the 9 Naths. And then obviously you get there's a Shabad within Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Bani from the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, which is aimed at Machandra, Son Machandra, Nanak Bole. So he was even spoken to by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. He was that great. So the second one is that if you, by listening to the name of God, you are able to gain abilities. Through those abilities on this earth, you will be called either a Sidh Pir, Nath, or Sur, or a deity. So that's the second definition. The third definition is all the Siddhs, the Pirs, the Naths, and the Devta, the deities, all listen to the name of God. And it's from that name of God that they then eulogize and commentate upon that merit of God. So it's through listening to the name of God that they gain the urge to then go and deliberate it out to others. The fourth definition here is these statuses of Sidh, Pir, Nath and deities, they're all gained through listening to the name of Vaheguru, through listening to the name of God that a person can gain them. Without listening to the name of God, you will not be able to obtain any of these rightful places or positions. All the texts say that. Every text says that listening to the name of God elevates you to a greater spiritual position, whether that be in a physical or a mental realm. That's what it does. And here it's talking exactly the same. It's saying that a person can gain these positions through the name of God. So for that reason, listen to the name of God, praise the name of God, understand the merits of listening to the name of God, because these individuals did, and they became the Siddhs, the Pirs, the Naths, and the Surs. And you look at that, Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath, again, the definitions you get here are Sunnai Sidh Pir. So it's through listening to the name of God that the Pir, the master of the Siddhs, was Gorakhnath. Gorakhnath came into existence, and that's how he's famous. Sur Nath. Sur Nath means the leader of the deities. The leader of the deities is Indradevta, and it is Indradevta who's gained his rightful position through listening to the name of God. And then you get that same, you get the article again, Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath. Sunnai Sidh Pir, so first it says Sur Nath, you do the definition the other way around. So the leader of the deities is Indra Devta, and he has reached his position due to listen to the name of God. Sidh Pir, so they say, who the Pir, who is the master or the guru of Gurmukhi, had the abilities to save him, and that person was Brahspat. So Brahspat also gained his elevated position due to listening to the name of God. And then we go on to the next lot of definitions. It says, those who listen to the name of God, all of their Pirs, here Pir means all of their difficulties, all their suffering became Sidh, became overturned, became right, were corrected basically, were corrected. So they were destroyed and they disappeared. So what happened after that was, in the same way that Indra Devta, there's a story of Indra Devta where he goes, according to the Bible Quran, he uses the moon to assist him. He seduces Ahalya, which was Gautam's wife. He then is cursed by Gautam when Gautam realizes that his wife was raped basically by a deity because he had assumed his Gautam's form. So he cursed him that he will have, he said, you were so eager to gain the chastity of a woman, that you were so eager to see the genitals of a woman, that you won't have to be eager anymore, and cursed him that he would have 1,000 female genitalia marks placed upon his body. And due to that, his body suffered. He was going through, each one of them was weeping, there was blood coming out, he was suffering, he smelled, he ran and dived into a river, and through his wife Sachi, who had contacted Brahspat had taught him how to meditate again, and through listening to the name of God through Brahspat, he was able to eradicate all the suffering that he had, even though he committed the sin of rape. The name of God was able to still eradicate that suffering that he had. And it states that in Gurbani, Sahansardam, the Indra Rawaya, is the Shabad that talks about this. So here, that's what it's saying. It's saying that once you meditate upon the name of God, all your difficulties can be eradicated. In the same way that Indra Devta had his 1,000 marks upon his body, then changed into 1,000 eyes, showing an enlightened form and showing revealed revelation and knowledge. So listen to the name of God. So in this way, Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath, and again, it is the Sidh Pir, the pain is corrected of the deities who suffer due to their arrogance and ego and pride every now and then, that God has to smite them with the demons who come and punish them, such as within the Chandi Diwar, it says that the deities were all kicked out of the heavens, and then Indra had to come to Chandi. Indra was there after Durga had gone for a while. The reason for that was that they had been kicked out of their heavens because of their pride. And then it is through the meditation of God, through listening to the name of God, that again they gain their lofty positions and their pain and suffering is corrected. And again, another definition now we have is those people who listen to the name of God will have their suffering, will have their pir here means their pride eradicated. If their pride is eradicated, then they know how to suffer birth and death within this world. This becomes corrected, their life becomes corrected. They defeat life, they defeat the causes of suffering within this world. And instead, they gain the good virtues within them. And due to that, they become Nath, they become the masters of this world and become knowledgeable beings. Nath, so that they even become the masters of the deities. That's what they become. They can gain those positions through doing that. They become greater than Indra Devta, they become greater than all the others. So those definitions, again, we'll go on further. There's further definitions for Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath. Here, Sur here means, instead of deities, it means your organs, your desires, your wanting. Raghunath was Ek Tek Raghunath, when the arths were being done of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Sant Gyani Gurbachan Singh Ji say that they met Gyani Babeka Singh at Tarnta, and Gyani Babeka Singh used to do the arth of Raghunath, that the Naths meant to be destroyed, and Raghu, in the same as Sur, meant Indriya, meant your organs. So what happens is you are able to control your organs, you gain complete control of them, you defeat them in every way. They become your subjective, so they will do as you want, rather than you being controlled by your desires, your organs. You can control them, you have complete control all over them. So Sur Nath is that, Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath. So those people who listen to the name of God, Sidh Pir, they correct everything by what they correct is by Sur Nath. They control their Indriya. Another definition is those people who listen to the name of God, they become Sidh. Siddhs are individuals who are liberated. They become Pirs. They become the Gurus of the Muslims. They become the Surs. They become the deities. They become the Naths. They are the people who are able to control their minds. That's Nath. Nathajana. To control their mind. And this is the glory and praise of listening to the name of God. The next definition, again, says that the individual will become liberated. They will become a Pir as well, so they'll be worshipped. Pir means they're worshipped. They'll become a worshipped individual. Sur Nath, Surala Nath. So the Sur is the deities, and Nath is their master. Now we've talked about Indra Devta being the king of the deities, but the master of the deities is Vishnu. They can become the form of Vishnu. They can gain the roop of Hari. And again, Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath. So a person becomes the Sur. The Sur here, so again we talk about they gain liberation, they become worshipped, and Sur Nath here means the individual who becomes enlightened. They become enlightened in every way, and that is due to them being able to control their mind. They are able to control everything that goes on. Another definition, the person who gains Vaheguru is considered the Pir here. So Vaheguru is the greatest of all. Sidh means to propagate. The person who propagates Vaheguru is able to control their 14 organs, whether that is the 5 organs of knowledge, 5 organs of sense, and their 4 mind faculty organs. So the 14, they're able to control those. And from those 14, by controlling those, they are able to become the deities. Other definitions we get, Anve, it says Sur Nath Pir Sidh. So Sunnai, but what they've done is they've turned them the other way around. By turning it the other way around, you say Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath instead of that. Sunnai Sur Pir Sidh Nath. Sur Nath Pir Sidh. So what they're saying is here, the individual who is the Sur. So Sur starts off with the deities. The Nath, the greatest out of all the Naths, is the Pir, is the one Vaheguru. And if a person is to Sidh means to propagate, like we said earlier, propagate that only through the name of God. That's what they'll do. And then again, there's a couple more definitions. Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath, the individual who is the king of the deities. The king of the deities was Indra Devta. He listened for 101 years from Brahspati, who was the Sidh Pir, who was the leader of the Siddhs, who was the guru of Indra Devta. He listened to the knowledge of God from him, the praise of God. He listened to all those things, and through doing that, he was able to eradicate the pain that he suffered from the demons at all times, and became victorious. Through victory, he became without any suffering and gained tranquility. There are other definitions that are not in here. Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath. They mention that a person becomes the by listening to the name of God, a person can elevate themselves to the position of the Siddhananath, Gorakhnath, or they can elevate themselves to the position of Vishnu as well, or they can elevate themselves to the position of Indradevta, or they can elevate themselves up to the position of God themselves. It's through listening to the name of God that a person has all these things. So that was the start of the 8th Pauri. I was hoping to get through the whole of it, but obviously due to the lengthy definitions and number of definitions, I haven't been able to. Next time we'll continue on with the 8th Pauri and we'll take it from there, but for today we will leave it at this position. Kamalpreet Singh, if you can close up, please.
Sunnai Sidh Pir Sur Nath, Sunnai Tat Taval Akas, Sunnai Deep Lo Patal, Sunnai Pohe Nasake Kal, Nanak Bhagta Sada Vigas, Sunnai Duk Pap Ka Nas.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. He Gobind, He Gopal, He Dayal Lal, Prananath Nath Sake Deen Dard Nivar, He Samrat Agam Puran Mohe Meatar, Andhakup Mahapayan Nanak Pare Utar, Aye Prabhu Saranagati Kirpa Nid Dayal, Ek Akhar Har Man Vaste Nanak Hot Nihal, Ek Akhar Har Man Vaste Nanak Hot Nihal. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.